Chicago Bears offense recently has been getting a lot more national media love. And while you guys know how I feel about the national media, I still think the Chicago Bears offense is being a little bit underrated because Caleb Williams has his weapons. Ben Johnson is going to be on the play call. He has his system as well, and the young core has a chance to be dangerous. But yet, the Chicago Bears skill positions were ranked 15th in the NFL. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, we're going to talk about the players from the 2025 draft class, not the ones that actually look good, the ones that still have a lot to show now in year two with Ruben Hyppolite, Shemar Turner, and Luke Newman. And while it's time to step up or potentially get left behind, then we're going to talk about where things get real with the defense. The Chicago Bears forced turnovers last year, but gave up way too many yards and didn't create enough sacks. We're going to talk about what they've done to try to change that mode for this team as well. All that and more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today, y'all. And the Chicago Bears skill positions were ranked 15th in the NFL. And the question is this fair or is it a little bit disrespectful considering what the Chicago Bears did last year? Now, we're going to talk about the whys, the ins and outs of that, but this is just another one of those things where I think, it's off-season, so the national media conversation already gets a little weird, but I think that it's the thing that we always talk about with this Bears team. They can even prove it, and there's still going to be tons of doubt around them. That's why I say don't worry about it as much. But ESPN's Ben Barnell ranked every offensive skill position group in the NFL, and the Chicago Bears landed at 15. Now, for what it's worth, last year, Barnwell ranked the Chicago Bears at number 25, and we still up being a top 5 group in the NFL. But he did say this: the kids are all right. We saw some eye-popping stretches of play from Chicago's rookie class. Tight end Colston Loveland was quiet for the first 2 months of the season, but from November 1st onward, he was second among all tight ends in receiving yards at 597 and yards per route run at 2.4. The 10th pick then added a 137-yard performance in a win over the Packers in the wild card round. There's a reasonable chance Loveland leads all tight ends in receiving yardage this season. Luther Burden needed more playing time. Over the same time frame, Burden averaged 2.9 yards per route run, and Rome Odunze's injury opened up a larger role for Burden. Of course, offensive architect Ben Johnson, quarterback Caleb Williams, and much improved offensive line likely deserve some of the credit for the offensive success too, and it wasn't all roses. Odunze's injury kept him from making the second-year leap many expected. So let's talk about this, right? The Chicago Bears, who have undoubtedly weapons. We all know that the Chicago Bears have weapons. They have tons of weapons. They have continued to add to the weapon class, right? And I think and look at this when it says for the Bears, like you have to look at this and be honest with yourself on how good can this offense be. Now, me, Bobby, and C-Dub just did a live stream on this actually on Sunday where we talked about the Chicago Bears and asked the question, like, are people kind of overestimating exactly how good this Bears offense is going to be? And we all kind of came up with the same thing of anything, it may be a little underestimated because of the things that were kind of mentioned. Colston Loveland, not a big part of the Chicago Bears offensive game plan in the first month or so. Same thing for Luther Burden. Then once those guys did get fully entrenched, we had injuries to Rome Odunze, right? We had those type of things. I think also Monangai not really being trusted early on. He was trusted by the end of the season, and we saw what he was capable of. But the thing that I always give credence to is that progression is not always linear. We sometimes think that, a player finished off last season strong, they're going to naturally come into next season strong. And sometimes that doesn't happen, right? Sometimes that next year and the expectations and, because coaches are trying to push you to do more, it's not always linear where you just make this huge step year after year. But there's a lot of reason to think that this team will. Now, the biggest thing for me is that with Drew Dalman leaving and Audrey Trapillo being hurt, the center and the left tackle positions are bigger questions that I have than the Bears skill positions. I think actually we've added to our skill positions. We have the most talented tight end room in the game of football. Colston Loveland is a tight end one with major upside, a strong finish to the season. Cole Kmet, we already know what he can be. And Sam Roush in his ability, even if he's just used mainly as a blocker in his rookie year, but he still has the capability to catch passes from the tight end position as well. That's there. Luther Burden, a yak demon, right? The yards after the catch are going to be crazy for him in this offense. And Rome Odunze just has to prove that he can stay healthy. He's already shown that he can be a wide receiver 1, 2. He has that level. He's that level of weaponry for this Bears team. Like, yeah, losing DJ Moore matters. And like we've talked about a lot here is that the question that we're going to look for early on into the season is who replaces the consistency of DJ Moore. It's a lot of reason to believe it's going to be Colston Loveland. It could definitely be Luther Burden. It could be a combination of everyone. I do think ranking them at number 15 in skill positions does feel a little low for what the talent that we have there is. But I'll say this. I'll say this, and I'm going to leave it at that. Is that, it's all going to be proven on the football field. And that's the thing that I keep going to, is that even throughout all this speculation season that we're in, where it's more talking than actual football because of training camp and all that type of stuff, I'm just ready to get to the point where it's football, where it's on the field, where everything that we get to talk about is on the field. I'm just ready for that part of it, right? I know we still have a little ways away until preseason football starts, but once that's there, that's what we're going to be talking about. It's not going to be any more what ESPN article wrote on X and where we ranked here and where we ranked there, because you're going to be able to see it on the football field. And that's the thing that I also love about the identity that we've built with this team, is that we have a team full of people as well that, even though Caleb Williams yesterday admitted that, he sees the hate, he sees the noise, but I think overall we have a team full of guys and a coaching staff full of coaches that everybody's like, okay, cool, say what you will, let's get on that field and let's show what we can do. And that's the mindset that you want a team to have, is leave it all out there on the field. The Bears have things that they need to tighten up. I don't want us to live by comebacks and fourth quarter drives. It's great, it's exciting, and I love to see it. I love to see my quarterback be able to do those things, but more functionality is what we're talking about to this team this year. That's what really is the next step for this team, is more functionality, more consistency. And if you get to that point, like, that's going to be their efficiency, right? That efficiency as well has to be the name of the game. The drops, the overthrows, all that type of stuff, everything, no wasted motions. And so if you get to that place where you're getting those things on the football field for the Bears team, then great. And that's it. Like, so we're going to go out there and play the games, and we're going to go out there and fight. We're going to go out there and compete. And I tell you what, having Ben Johnson as a play caller who's going to be able to use and put all these guys in a position to where he's going to understand how to use them to their best of ability, that's what raises the ceiling truly of a team, is having a coach that understands, hey, this is the vision that I have to use this guy. This is that's what, if Zavion Thomas ends up being a weapon for the Bears, is going to be because Ben Johnson has a vision of how he wants to use Zavion Thomas, and then Zavion Thomas goes out and executes that vision well. You get those things all rocking and rolling and operating on the same wavelength and together. That's when things can start getting special for a team. So let's hope that that's going to happen. It's about putting pressure. So the Chicago Bears offensive, our weapons ranked 15th in the NFL. Cool, great. Now let's go out there and see how you feel about that as well once the season's going on. And if you feel like we're ranked 15th, then we're putting up points on you and we're back to being a top 5 offense in production and scoring and all that type of stuff. Let's see if you feel like we're 15th then. But with that said, I want to get to the next part of this, right? Is that I want to talk a little bit about the 2025 draft class for the Chicago Bears. We know that players like Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Ozzie Trapillo, and Kyle Monangai helped shape what 2025 ended up being for the Chicago Bears. And it was an extremely solid rookie class last year that all ended up performing and bringing an extra dynamic to the Bears that helped us get to this, to make that next step as a team. The first step really under Ben Johnson. That was great to see. But there's a couple of things that you'll notice in trends in what I said. All 4 of those players on the offensive side of the ball, Kyle Monangai, running back, Luther Burden, a wide receiver, Colston Loveland, a tight end, and Ozzie Trapillo, a left tackle, right? So all on the offensive side of the ball. There are a number of players as well that I think that on the defensive side of the ball and overall too, that did not get an opportunity. Well, let me not say they didn't get the opportunity. They didn't make the best of their 2025 season, whether it be for injuries or whatever else, to really give the Bears what they were hoping that they were going to see in 2025. And now it leaves a lot for them to still be able to show it in 2026, what they're going to be able to do and how they can bring the best out of them. And so I'm looking at this, right? And so one of the guys that we need to talk about is Ruben Hyppolite. Ruben Hyppolite has a chance now heading into year 2 to really step up for the Chicago Bears, right? TJ Edwards, we'll see what's going to happen with him. We know that he's injured right now. I think he may be healthy by the start of the season, but there's still a chance he can miss a little bit at the start of the season. But our linebacking core right now, TJ Edwards, Devin Bush, DeMarco Jackson, some can even say Keyshawn Elliott and Jack Sanborn are all ahead of Ruben Hyppolite. So he's going to have an opportunity here. There was a lot of buzz around Ruben Hyppolite coming into last season. You look at the 4.40 time that he did and how that speed, especially for a Bears defense that talked about wanting to add more speed and functionality, he didn't get to play much, right? He played 7 games last year, 1 start. He racked up 6 tackles in that time. And at the end of the day, Ruben Hyppolite ended up being a player that was regulated more to special teams than anything else. So now coming into 2026, you're looking at Ruben Hyppolite and say nobody really knows what his role is going to be, right? And while I don't have doubts he's going to make the final 53, Ryan Poles typically likes to give guys that he drafts time to see what they can turn into. There's more competition at the linebacker spot as well. And so Ruben Hyppolite, one way or another, you look at it, he's competing with guys like Noah Sewell, Jack Sanborn, Keyshawn Elliott. He's competing with those guys to find the amount of snaps that can get in there with you, right? So you look at it, Ruben Hyppolite last year as well. Most of his tackles, of course, came playing 42% on special teams. He wasn't impactful. That's just the reality of it. And while the speed may give him an advantage, this is why things like speed only matter so much as how functional they end up being, right? And yes, this is a defense that wanted to add speed. We wanted to get faster. And so maybe that does give him a little bit of an edge. But Ruben Hyppolite's one of the guys at the top of training camp and in preseason that has to show it. He has a lot to prove for this team, but he's not alone, right? When you look at it, the guy, like I said, the guys that stood out the rookie class last year, Loveland, Burton, Trapillo, Monangai, guys that you want to see step up this year, Ruben Hyppolite, Shemar Turner, Luke Newman. Ruben Hyppolite for what we just talked about. He's in a crowded linebacker room. He can bring some speed. We're trying to get to the quarterback a little bit more. Having him be able to line up on the outside linebacker on the same side of an Austin Booker or on a Montez Sweat and the pressure that they're going to get, it should give Ruben Hyppolite opportunities to use that speed and size that he has to disrupt the backfield. I'm not even saying get a bunch of sacks at this point. Disrupt the backfield, both in the run game and in the pass game. You can do that. You can make a name for yourself. Shemar Turner, we've already heard that the Bears are planning to use him more at the defensive end position and give him defensive tackle snaps as well. And that puts him in a position to make an impact because he's going to play multiple roles. He played some defensive end in college. So that again is something that he's done before. We're not really trying to force him outside of things that he's been comfortable doing in college, but now you got to show that you can do it at the NFL level. Shemar Turner is a guy that, I came into last season, hoping that he was going to show and make it comfortable that we do let Andrew Billings go. Now we ended up bringing in Neville Gallimore, who I think is ready to replace that, but there's just no doubt about it that you want Shemar Turner, especially if he's going to be able to play snaps at 2 positions, to show you something, right? At 6'3", 293 pounds, he had 6 tackles last year, only played in 5 games. There's just no doubt you need more from Shemar Turner this year. And with the Bears' defensive line being as in disarray and many questions around it, why can't Shemar Turner come in and show himself to be an answer to some of those questions? You have to work your ass off to get there, but he's a guy that should be able to show a little bit of something to bring us something that we need, right? And then that's what you want to see from a guy like him. And then Luke Newman, 6'3", 308 pounds, an offensive tackle that can play some guard as well. The thing that I want to see from Luke Newman at 24 years old is that you spent a year basically learning behind Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, Andrew Dahlman, right? Veterans. And now Drew Dahlman's gone, but we still got veterans on that offensive line, as well as being coached by Dan Rouchard, right? So, you want to see from Luke Newman at minimum, right? And I think at minimum, show himself to be able to be a rotational offensive lineman that when he comes in there, you're like, all right, he can perform at a certain level, right? So you can bring some consistency. But at best, if he's soaking up that knowledge, soaking up what he's learning, understanding the playbook, getting better and improving as a player, there's a lot of reason to believe that Luke Newman could be the guy. I talked a couple of weeks ago, I think at this point, how, with Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney being veterans, you want to start having guys that are behind them that can eventually take over, right? Of course, common thought, you can draft another offensive lineman, but I think when you have a natural succession line where you have a guy that you spent 2 years learning behind Jonah Jackson, now you're ready to take over his starting spot if he does have to leave, that's what you want. That's how you build continuity. That's how you keep the success of your team going. That's what I really want to see from the Chicago Bears in this one, and Luke Newman has an opportunity to bring that a lot for this Bears team. So, like I said, 2025 draft class was already really good. It has a chance to become an even better draft class if all 3 of these guys start showing themselves to actually be weapons for the Chicago Bears that can be used. Will that happen? We'll see, right? We'll see. I'm not going to just put it all out there and just say it's just naturally going to happen, but I would really like to see the pressure that's put. You see guys that are in your draft class, in your building. One guy's already out of here. Zay Frazier, gone, right? Like a guy that was in that draft class, he's gone. I don't want to see more casualties of that. I want to see these guys start stepping up and showing themselves to be able to do something for the Bears over this rookie contract. Let's see which one does. So I want to hear from you guys on this one. Between Ruben Hyppolite, Shemar Turner, Luke Newman, which one of these guys do you think is going to be able to make the biggest impact? Doesn't have to be a huge impact, but the biggest impact out the three in their second years in the NFL. But let's move on, right? So there's another article which talks about the Chicago Bears and the best case and worst case for the Chicago Bears defense. This one comes from Bleacher Report. Gary Davenport says this: the Bears will take any kind of defensive improvement they can get in 2026. After the team allowed the 4th most yards per game in the league last year and surrendered the 10th most points per contest. But any improvement will likely be incremental. Going from Tremaine Edmonds to Devin Bush was a lateral move, and the secondary will be rolling out a pair of new safeties in Coby Bryant and rookie Dillon Thieneman. Now, let's start there. First of all, I do think it's a little bit disingenuous to say that Devin Bush is a lateral move from Tremaine Edmonds. In my personal opinion, I don't think he's lateral. I think that, Tremaine Edmonds put up a lot of tackles here. There's just no doubt about it. He was a tackling machine while he was here with the Chicago Bears, and you got to give him credit for that, because that's not something you just walk into and just lucky. And having over 100 tackles basically each year, except last year, that's not something to overlook. And that is if you're just looking at the statistical output. But I think when you look at Devin Bush and how much he can improve in coverage, how much he can improve in being able to get to the quarterback, those type of things, that's there for Devin Bush. I think he offers more ceiling raising potentially and headspace there. But then you look at the Coby Bryant and Dillon Thieneman and the defensive backfield there. I think those guys are going to be a lot more consistent as far as not just living off the takeaways as well, right? So it goes on, Davenport, to talk about the worst case scenario for the Chicago Bears. He says this: the Chicago Bears can't afford any sort of defensive backslide if they want to win the NFC North again. But said backslide can't be ruled out. After reportedly taking a run at Max Crosby, a pass rush that logged just 35 sacks last year wasn't improved. Bryant would appear an upgrade at deep safety, while Thieneman is talented, but he's also untested. It won't take much of this to be bottom 5 defense, and that would be a real problem for Chicago's postseason chances. Okay, bottom 5 defense. Based off last year, I can see that. But again, the thing that people keep ruling out is how much injuries really riddled this team last season, and even in the pass rush. Now, I'm not saying that the Bears are going to turn it around and be one of the best pass rushes in the game of football. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that there is natural places where this team is going to improve because of health in the secondary and how that helps alleviate some of the pressure on the defensive line as well. I also think this: Kevin Byard out and Coby Bryant in, I think is going to be huge. Like Kevin Byard's interceptions were huge last year. But turnovers are volatile. That's not something you want to build your defense on, even though we know that coaching is still going to try to coach this team to get those takeaways. Coby Bryant may not match the pick total of Kevin Byard, but he's going to be better in coverage. He's going to handle the faster wide receivers a little bit better than Kevin Byard did as well. I think right now the Bears defense getting better overall is an opportunity. There's a chance there. It's not just hope. There are reasons to believe that Chicago Bears defense is going to improve. And I think also, like with that, Kevin Byard, great at his age, but eventually a regression is going to come. Coby Bryant, he holds up. Poles is going to look very smart for that move. So I think this, right? The Bears overall, it comes down to the thing that was proven last year for us was takeaways were a weapon. And that is natural to go back to that and rely on that to be the thing and the identity again. But I love the fact that this Bears team is not resting on that. They wanted to get better in tackling. They wanted to get better in functionality. They wanted to get better in and day out improvement. And because of those things, you're going to absolutely see that opportunity come for the Chicago Bears this season. We just got to see where and how they're going to continue to improve. I think that they will. I think the Bears are going to be fine in the defensive side of the ball, because I do think they're being underrated some. Now, they've earned the reason why they've been underrated because of the fact of how they improve, how they played last season. But I think between Austin Booker making a step, Javon Dexter continues to get better in certain areas, but the run game still stays the same. I think we have better depth in our defensive tackle room with Neville Gallimore and potentially Jaden Vandenberg as well, being guys that are going to be there. Katavius Street also there. Health in our secondary. Kyler Gordon got to get back healthy. That's going to be such a big weapon for the Bears as well. And then also don't overlook the competition in the cornerback room as well. Malik Muhammad's there to push people. And so hopefully that helps gets the best out of Tyreek Stevenson in a year after he was kind of up and down a lot. So, there's a lot of reasons for that. I see what the best and worst case scenarios is. I understand why it's such a talking point by the media, because the Bears earned that. And you do have to be a better defense. You can't allow the 10th most points and expect to be a true threat in the postseason. The Bears are going to have to tighten that up. But Jalen Johnson being healthy, the secondary being overall healthy, better functionality, and I think better balance in your linebacking room as well, and hopefully more consistent play out your defensive line group, I think we have reasons why the Bears are going to improve next year. But that's all I got for today, y'all. I want to hear from you guys down below. Where do you rank the Bears' skill positions heading into the 2026 season? What player out the 2025 draft class do you think has the most pressure on them heading into camp, and which one do you think will live up to that pressure? Drop your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You can follow us at Shy Bears Central on every social media platform. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.